Welcome to the Observe Day podcast, the show where we celebrate the days that matter. From holidays to meaningful observances, we bring you inspiring conversations, stories, and ideas to make each day count. Whether it's raising awareness, learning something new, or simply sparking joy, this is your space to explore the calendar in a whole new way. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to share today's observance with you. Let's dive in. Welcome to a special episode of the Observe Day podcast in recognition of National Suicide Prevention Month. Today, we're diving into the powerful connection between mental health and nutrition with someone whose story embodies hope, healing, and transformation. Our guest, Jayne Reynolds, is a board-certified holistic nutritionist, certified nutrition recovery coach, and brain health professional. She knows firsthand what it feels like to face debilitating depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. After years of trying every conventional treatment, she discovered that nourishing her brain and body with whole foods, amino acid therapy, and holistic practices made a difference. For over a decade, Jayne has been medication-free, living with renewed joy, purpose, and energy. Now she helps others do the same, supporting women struggling with anxiety, depression, and hopelessness to find healing through practical nutrition, lifestyle changes, and faith. Jayne calls herself an unapologetic hamburger of hope. Exactly what we need this month. Today we'll explore how food, faith, and small intentional choices can restore hope when it feels lost. Welcome to Observe the Podcast, Jayne.
Thank you so much for having me, Wisdom. I'm glad to be here and glad that you're highlighting such an important topic this month.
Yeah, September is National Suicide Prevention Month, a time for awareness, conversation, and support. Given your personal journey, what does this month mean to you?
It means a lot because there are so many people who are still struggling. And I think they're struggling often without hope. When you feel like you're trapped in that space, you don't always know what all of your answers are. And I lived with a lot of those feelings for a very long time before figuring out what the answers and solutions were for me. And they might not be the answers and solutions for everybody. I'm not anti-medication. I'm not anti going to see the doctor when that's needed. And I did those things. But at the time, I felt very unsure of what might happen to me because I didn't feel very in control of my brain. And when we feel like that, we don't have much hope. We don't feel like we have much to look forward to. We don't know if every day, when I wake up tomorrow, it's going to be the same as it was today, which is really, really difficult. And so figuring those things out and having hope to offer to people makes this month actually really special. We carry a special weight. It carries a weight. It's a very serious topic, but there's hope out there. And I think that's something that we need to talk about.
Yeah, you've openly shared that you once battled suicidal thoughts. Can you take us back to that time in your life and share what helped you find hope again?
Yeah. Well, it started first with a lot of prayer. I am a person of faith. And so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the answers where my faith was concerned. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the answers with the conventional doctors. And I know that during that season, I struggled with a lot of fear around things like sharp objects. So if there were scissors out on the table or knives out on the table, then I always had to have them put away. As long as I couldn't see them, I wasn't thinking about them and I wasn't thinking about hurting myself. But I always had to have them put away. And it wasn't that I had, so there are different stages in suicidality. And some of it is just simply wishing that you didn't have to carry on because you don't know what the other solutions are. And then it builds on that, right? And it gets to the point where people have premeditated and thought out plans. And that's a very risky and serious space for them to be in. Because of my faith and because of the relationship I had with my husband, my children, my parents, I didn't want to act on anything that I was thinking, but I was so without hope. I just wanted to go to sleep and not wake up the next day. I don't know how else to explain it. I just wanted not to carry on doing the things that I was doing every single day because I wasn't in a place of hope.
You were able to scale through.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of times when people talk about suicide prevention, and what people think of is, okay, giving out crisis hotlines and therapy, which of course that has its relevance. But what do you believe is the role of nutrition and holistic care in this conversation?
Yeah. So in if you're in crisis, just to be really, really clear, if you're in crisis right at this moment and you're considering something that serious, then you need to reach out and get help and talk to somebody right away, right? So the results that nutrition gave me came in about a week after I made changes. That's pretty fast. But if you're in a crisis now for the next half hour, then reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
There's some belief that the studies are showing right now here in the US, at least, with these talk lines and the therapy outreach and those kinds of things that are available immediately. In the States, that's dialing 988. If you dial that number and talk to somebody, it's actually helping, and it's lowering some of the numbers for our teen suicide rates, at least. So that's very good. That's a great place to start. And with the nutrition piece, what I didn't understand at the time was that my some of the foods that I was eating were driving inflammation inside of my brain, and it was triggering that depression and that anxiety. So there are a couple of different things that we can look at with nutrition. The first one is that delayed food allergy piece. What's going on? Sometimes, so there are two different forms of allergies that we can have. And sometimes when we eat something, you might, like, your throat might swell up or your eyes might itch, and that's different than the type of delayed food allergy that drives this low, slow burning inflammation inside the body, crosses over into the brain and triggers all of this inflammation in the brain that causes all these problems. So here in the US, we can test for those. But if you're not in that position, you can start by removing foods that might be a well-known culprit. So we know that gluten, which is a protein inside wheat, can cause problems. We know that dairy can cause problems. We know corn and soy here can cause problems. So you can try taking those foods out for a month and then reintroducing them to see what the outcome is. The other piece to that is maintaining stable blood sugar. So when you have when your body has an excess intake of sugar, then the body produces insulin, and when it does that, it starts to drive down the blood sugar levels. And for some people, that can get way too low, and it sends the body into panic because it doesn't know what's going on and it's trying to get back to homeostasis. So if you aren't at this level of normal, or your body perceives it's not at this level of normal, it can create debilitating, like, knock you out on the floor levels of anxiety where you don't feel like you can function. And what you really need to do is have protein consistently throughout the day. So starting with protein every 3 hours throughout the day gives your body the building blocks that your neurotransmitters need to be made, and it gives you blood sugar stability so you don't have those highs and lows throughout the day. So those are the two big places where I would begin.
Before we dive deeper, I'd love to invite you to join the Observe Day newsletter. Every week, I send you highlights of upcoming observances, creative ways to celebrate, and behind-the-scenes extras from the shows. It's the perfect way to stay inspired and never miss a meaningful moment. Sign up today at observeday.com/join. That is observeday.com/join. Now, let's get back to the conversation. A lot of persons, they feel hopeless when medication or therapy alone doesn't work for them, right? What encouragement would you offer to someone in that situation right now?
And I've been there. I feel you. I understand what you're going through. That was my journey too. I took the medications and it was not helping. And so I would encourage you to start looking at alternative solutions that you may not have considered in the past. Find yourself a naturopath, find yourself somebody who is more holistic in nature. I've seen people go through equine therapy and have miraculous results. I've seen people go through art therapy and have miraculous shifts and changes, right? So go and find the modality that works for you and talk to somebody. It's hard. Sometimes there's so many different things out there to figure out what the right piece is for you. So if you need somebody to talk to, find somebody to talk to. I will pick up the phone and I will talk to you and help you figure out, listen to what you have going on, and then see if we can't help you figure out what some helpful next steps might be. But you are not alone and you're not without hope. There is always, always hope to be offered. There's always somebody who cares about you. There's always somebody who's there to help. So always reach out. It becomes very isolating. You want to cut yourself off or not reach out when you need help, but you should reach out. and get the help when you're feeling that desperate and that alone.
One of the core things that really caught my attention is that faith is a strong part of your story. And
Hmm.
so my question is, how do you weave faith and science together in your approach to mental health and suicide prevention?
Yeah. So as I went through school and started learning about how my body functioned and how your body functions, I could not help but see, and I understand this is the worldview that I grew up with. I am Christian in faith, so I understand that's my perspective. But as I looked at all the different miraculous pieces and how our bodies work, it is mind blowing to me that anybody could think that that happened by accident. It looks like created design to me. And so I understand it influences how I pray for my clients. It influences how, like, I can get very, very specific. You know, God, if somebody's dealing with depression, I can pray specifically for that neurotransmitter pathway, for the connections that are inside the brain. I understand how they're connected and the communication that's going on inside the brain, but I can pray specifically for those things. I gives me um, immense hope and peace. Like fundamentally, we can fix a lot of things that are going wrong with us physically in this world. But when it all comes down to it, at the end of all of it, at some point, all of us are going to die. I don't know of anybody who has lived for eternity, right, on this planet. That just hasn't happened. So
Mm,
having understanding that I am part of a bigger plan, that I believe that God is in control, that He only has what is good planned for me and for the people that know and love Him, that He is working everything out that we go through together for the good of those that love Him. Like, this isn't a God who persecutes, judges, hates, punishes. This is a God who cares desperately for the well being of His children and wants them to be well. And sometimes that means we need to bring things into alignment with Him, into obedience with Him. So if we're binging and burying all of our problems and our hurts and our pains in junk food and chocolate and ice cream, right? And maybe we need to get that right between us and God in order for healing to take place.
yeah,
Instead of leaning into Him, we're leaning into those things, right? And I don't believe He wants that. I believe He wants us to lean on Him. But then He's able to give us so much more peace than we could possibly have ever understood, which is in spite of our circumstances, right? We know that in the end, we are still being watched out for. And in the end, we're trusting that we're being taken care of. And that gives us a bigger picture. So it takes us out of this insular world and this self-focus that we can get caught up with when we don't have any hope.
thank you so much, Jayne.
Yeah, you're welcome, Wisdom.
Yeah, I know while you're telling your story, um, you did share highlights of, what it was like back then. But looking back, what would you say was the turning point when you realized that my life wasn't over? When that feeling of, I want this chapter to end. I just want the time to stop ticking. I want to stop going on. When was the point when you noticed that, oh yeah, I want to see the next day. I'm happy.
Yes.
Like when was that turning point for you?
Yeah, great question. I think the most significant moment, there were two of them. One was when I stopped eating gluten, and I tried that for a chiropractor suggested that I give up gluten for something else entirely. And 7 days into not eating it, I woke up and thought, I haven't had a panic attack in 7 days. And that was
Oh,
miraculous, right? Because I'd been having
yeah,
them for 7 years. They went away in a week. That's a very fast turnaround. I mean, even if you go on a medication, they say it takes 6 to 8 weeks for it to start working. So I had
yeah,
results in a week, and that was left. And it made the majority of the struggles go away and gave me hope that every day was going to start getting better. So that
yeah,
was one of the instrumental points. The other one was getting connected with a naturopath who understood the fundamentals of how our body uses the smallest part of our protein to make our neurotransmitters. And she got a test done for me that looked at my neurotransmitter levels. And she got me some supplements, tyrosine specifically in my case, that really helped to bring my dopamine back into balance. And that was the thing that was missing. I had been treated for serotonin deficiency for 6 years, and that really wasn't the problem. The dopamine was the problem. And as soon as we started targeting that, within hours, I started feeling better. So those two things were massive on that journey to feeling like I had hope. It still took a long time for me to get my 100% of my strength and my energy and my joy back, because I'd been sick for 7 years. So that didn't go away overnight. But the immediate symptoms went away in about a week. And then I was able to start building on that hope, right? And taking steps every single day to figure out, what else do I need to do? What else needs to change? How do I need to rest? How do I need to restore my adrenal glands? How can I alleviate stressful situations that I'm in? How can I learn how to handle those better so that I don't put myself in a stressful situation again? So all of that became a journey, and that probably took close to a year. And then I went through different phases after that too, again, of when I came off my medication. That was a really, really hard 6 months. And it went through a lot of withdrawal in that 6 months. It took me a year to get off my benzodiazepines. So each stage, right? I had different stages that I had to go through, but the hope came relatively quickly once we'd figured out what the right steps were.
Someone listening that is in a dark place today, what's one step they can take before this day ends to move toward hope?
I think probably what I said earlier counts, which was to reach out to somebody and connect with somebody who has a wide understanding of the different modalities. Because if you've been trying something that doesn't work for a long time, then it's probably time to try something different, right? But the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And so we can reach out to somebody who, it took one person saying to me, you've done all these things for all of this time, and I don't think it's helping. Would you consider reaching out to this resource that I have? And that changed the narrative and the story for my life. And so it just takes one person. And if you're listening and you're in a position where you have a friend who's struggling with those things, then be the person, right? Don't be afraid of the difficulty of this circumstance, because more often than not, we just need somebody to listen and to offer us hope and to let us know that we're not alone.
I did prepare a lightning round.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask you questions. You respond quickly as fast as possible.
Okay, I'll try.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. What's one food you can't live without?
Chocolate. I love chocolate. Dark chocolate, though, low in sugar.
No judgment.
Thank you.
Your go-to habits that instantly lifts your mood.
A go-to that instantly lifts my mood.
Your go-to habit
that instantly lifts my mood. Probably a castor oil pack. I like doing those. You put castor oil on your liver on the outside and then a flannel over the top and a heat pad and rest for half an hour. And that usually like undoes all the junk and the yuck and the yucky thinking. It would be that and going for a walk or high intensity music, like all of those three things. It just depends where I'm at, but I'll go to those things to pick my mood up quickly.
What's a quote or scripture you hold on to when life gets hard?
John 10:10 is my go-to all of the time, which is, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come, said Jesus, I have come that you may have life and you may have it abundantly. There is a promise that we are not meant to be anything that's in your life that is taking away from your joy, taking away from your peace, taking away from your abundance is not of God. And God desires good for you. And that's what I cling to and build my life on.
Coffee, tea, or something else entirely?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one, because I grew up on tea and I still love a good cup of tea, but I've lived in America for 30 years. And so I really enjoy my first morning cup of coffee now. So, but only one cup of coffee in the morning, not all day long.
What's one message you would put on a billboard for Suicide Prevention Month?
One message I would put on a board. Oh golly, that is hard. Mental health is not all in your head. There may be something going on inside your body. So let's figure out what that is so that we can get you the help you need. It's
With
long,
that,
but that's what I'd say.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that will fit in a billboard.
No, it wouldn't.
Uh,
It wouldn't. Um,
uh,
yeah,
okay.
no.
We'll have to summarize and condense
We'll
that.
have to summarize that at some point. But I
Yeah,
do often tell people mental health is not all in your head. Just
yeah,
to get them to start thinking about how what's going on inside your body is affecting how your brain functions. So maybe
yeah,
mental health is not all in your head would be up on my billboard just to get you start thinking.
yeah. Oh, what's your favorite British comfort food that surprisingly supports brain health?
Oh, goodness me. My mom's cooking. She's very good at building plates that have um, one piece of protein, like chicken or fish, and then filling the plate with vegetables. And my whole body is just so happy when I go home and I visit her and she's cooking those comfort foods for me. So I think that's probably it.
And then the last question, if someone only remembers one thing from this episode, what should it be?
That they're not alone and that there is hope and that they can make changes that will impact them for the rest of their life for the good.
Oh, thank you so much, Jayne. Where can listeners learn more about the work you do and connect with you?
Yes, so I have a website. It's sycamoreandsagenutrition.com. And you can find me on my socials at the Mental Health Nutrition Coach.
Yeah, I would add the links in the description and the show notes so listeners can click and go back to the site. Thank you so much, Jayne.
You're very welcome, Wisdom. It's been a pleasure to have a chat with you today.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's it for today's episode of the Observe Day podcast. Thank you for spending your time with us as we explore today's observance. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend who'd love to celebrate life special days too. Don't forget to join the newsletter at observeday.com/join for more observance stories, tips, and updates. Until next time, keep finding meaning in every day.